Hi there, beautiful people. This is haute couture designer Shilpi Chaudhary. I'm also a fashion historian, and my work has a lot of art and history genres, which I give mostly a pluralistic look to my haute couture and avant-garde. So this is to reaching out to people who are art lovers and who care a lot for haute couture and avant-garde. So here I will be speaking on a genre of androgyny. Now, right now I have been inspired by this particular philosophy of androgyny, and let me tell you how this word was coined. The etymological meaning of androgyny starts with the Greek word andros, that is male, and gune, that is female. So it is androgyny. So this is a concept which is right now has inspired me, and I have created a particular collection of this, bringing in a lot of Indian elements to it. Yes, yet it is a little bit of international feel also to it. The collection that I have created of androgyny, wherein the male and the female gender inclusive couture has been brought forward. Androgyny, that is gender neutral, gender fluidic, gender free, gender inclusive, and genderless. So this is basically a creation or art for art's sake, because we all know that in every male there is a female principle, female emotions, female features, and in every female there are male characteristics, male features, male elements. So this is in unison bringing together this look of androgyny. The rebellious style of androgyny originated in France and then in England. Now, in France, there is a saying that goes, which of course a very famous Austrian chancellor called Metternich had said in early 19th century, that whenever France sneezes, the entire Europe catches cold. So most of the style originated in France, and from there it traveled to the rest of the Europe, and then from there the rest of the world. Now, androgyny, the rebellious style of clothing, originated here, then it traveled to the other parts of Europe. And here mainly it was the concept of uniform was coming in the fashion styling, because after the Industrial Revolution there was a requirement for uniform style of dressing. Now, whether it is a male or a female, the uniform was supposed to be a uniform style of clothing. So with the concept of uniforms, the unisex styles of fashion came into vogue, and that is how wherever the countries hired spies during the world wars, they always insisted on uniforms being worn by women spies, same as the men spies. So this is a little bit of European history that goes behind the concept of androgyny. The androgyny genre got a little heave forward by the women activists in Western countries, wherein they found women attire not practical to be used, day-to-day activity. They preferred a pant or a pantaloon, a pajamas to wear, for their whatever work or activity they are in, because that leaves the legs free. So the idea got promoted from this concept of women activism, who wanted to be free of binding clothing. Now, binding clothing is also so true to Indian style of clothing, where we have this versatile drape called sari, and the sari was a drape which actually is a drape rather that binds your legs, so you cannot cycle in a sari, or you cannot do horse riding, the way the sari is draped. So people, the women, they started preferring something, a clothing that keeps their legs free. And what best it is, to sport a pant, because that helps them get by with day-to-day activity of life. So this is where androgyny, especially in the women context, got promoted, and it is still very, very much in vogue. I remember in my shoots and shows, my male models always sported a nose pin or a nose ring or a nose chain and a nut, which we call in Indian vocabulary as a big ring around the neck, which is basically mostly a woman's attire, and especially for weddings, a woman sports a huge nose ring. So I started using this some 20 years back on my male models. And in India, as you know, India has to still go a long way in fashion progression. It is still in its infancy, and people here found it outrageous, like, how this thing can happen. And what makes me happy is today, and of course, several years back, the Western musicians started sporting a nose pin and nose ring, which I had already started 20 years back. And what I feel, India has to still go forward, and still the designers in India have to, work on pushing the boundaries, which I keep doing all the time. I do this mainly for art's sake, for my personal satisfaction. It does not matter whether anybody likes it or doesn't like. I have a feel-good factor with my creation that is fantastic for me, and for my cathartic feel. So I don't go by people's opinion. What I create for my personal satisfaction. Musicians like David Bowie, Boy George, Elvis Presley, and Mick Jagger, all of them, they believed that men should also look beautiful. So the concept of men looking beautiful, or beautiful men, became trendy with them, and that is the time these musicians would wear makeup, and that is going on till now. Still now people do, and that is big time trending. Men wearing makeup, men grooming themselves to bring out their personalities, and why not? It cannot be a prerogative of a woman, to look beautiful. Even men can look beautiful. So this is the very essence of androgyny, and we term this as metrosexual males, which is very much you can see in my work. The concept of androgyny is not new to India. The only thing is that it was not marketed as an androgyny, genre of fashion. Now, if we see in our Vaishnavism, the Vaishnavite philosophy, we have a Krishna's form as Srinathji. Now, Srinathji, this icon you find in Nathadwara, which is in a state of India, that is Rajasthan, and there this deity is sporting a huge nose ring with a long braid and a skirt and a vest and a drape. So here it is a total female principal look that is showcasing here. And let me tell you, this is all very, very early during medieval times. This had already started. Now, with the coming of the Afghans, the Persians, and the Turks who invaded us, they brought with them a lot of androgyny, style of clothing, like long skirts, flared skirts, the jamas, the angarakhas. They were all so much, women-oriented attires or flowing attires. But the men in court, in medieval courts, and also in Mughal court, they were wearing it. For example, Humayun during his exile spent a lot of time in Persia, and there in the court of Shah, the Safavid dynasty, there he learned the sophistication of the attire and brought that culture to the Mughal court. And from there, in the Mughal court, it has been trending the long flowing skirts which the men sported day in and day out. So this is nothing new in India, and India has already seen all this. The saddest part is that it was not brought into trend as in an androgyny concept, and it was not so much marketed as we see the Western musicians, and especially the musicians of East Asia, they are bringing forth this trend in a big way. So I feel India is still there in androgyny from time immemorial.